Chapter 1, Segment 2 involves 4 main parts. The first part being the 5 viewpoints, exploring the biology and behavior, specifically the last 2 points, 4 and 5. So the fourth point in the 5 viewpoints being biological mechanisms underlying all behavior. So in order to understand how and what affects behavior, it is important to understand the body's mechanisms, such as like the neurons and the connections neurons make. And then the fifth point in the viewpoints being research can be applied to human problems. So it is vital to research that we explore them further in terms of how behavior affects the brain and exploring that aspect of research even further, because when we explore that further, it helps other scientists as well to explore other aspects of research. The second part of this segment is 3 approaches relating to the brain and behavior. So the first approach to relating brain and behavior being somatic intervention. Somatic intervention alters a structure or function of the brain or body to see how the alteration changes the behavior. So specific structures or functions and how they specifically affect certain behaviors. An example being a connection the nervous system makes is damaged and the behavior is now altered because of that damage. The second point to the 3 approaches relating brain and behavior being behavioral intervention. In this approach, the scientist intervenes in the behavior or experience and looks for any changes in the body structure or function. An example of behavioral intervention is exposing an organism to a stimulus, and this stimulus provokes a change in electrical activity and blood flow in the brain, so that stimulus specifically affects how the blood flow or activity happens in the brain. The last approach to relating brain and behavior being correlation, and this involves finding the extent to which a given body measure varies with a behavioral measure. So a specific body measure and a behavioral measure, and how those two potentially correlate. An example of this is the severity of schizophrenia and how it correlates to the magnitude in the changes of the brain. The third part in segment 2 being neuroplasticity. Behavior can change the brain. Experiences can often affect the brain in many ways, such as the number and size of neurons. So any experience can increase, decrease the amount of neurons we have in our brain. And this is often referred to as neuroplasticity, and it's the ability of the brain to adapt to our experiences that we have. Social experiences can also alter the brain structure. So an example of this given in the book was isolating male rats resulted in a smaller region of the brain. So this isolation potentially caused this smaller area of the brain in those rats. Social interactions can also cause psychological expectations, which affect the magnitude of the brain response, even though the stimulus is the same. So having the same stimulus can also be affected, meaning say we have an interaction between 2 groups and we want these 2 groups to put their hands in water that is the exact same temperature, but you tell the first group this water is hot and you tell the second group that this water is cold. Because of that social interaction prior to touching the water, their brain is now altered and their expectations are also altered as a result. Lastly, in this section, biological and social factors continuously affect each other in ongoing series of events, meaning one experience you have today can affect an experience you have tomorrow. So if you're consistently winning and winning and winning, your brain is going to expect you to keep winning and winning and winning. However, that may not be the case, but we're affecting our brain because of the interactions we are having on a day-to-day basis, and this ongoing series of events is continuously affecting the next event that is going to occur. And lastly, in this section is behavioral neuroscientists use several different levels of analysis. So understanding behavior often requires several levels of biological analysis. This may involve breaking down each level through a process known as reductionism. So this process involves looking at a bigger picture and then breaking it down further. Again, reductionism. So you're breaking it down, reducing it each as you go. And this process also involves level of analysis. So you have that higher level and then you keep going down in levels. And the example the book gives is social levels, organ level, neural systems, and brain region. So obviously social level is at the top, then we have organ level, then we have neural systems, brain region, so on and so forth. And these levels can go really, really small. You can even go down to atoms. But in the end, you're breaking down those levels and analyzing them. Thank you.